Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So I got a lot more done since last time than I thought I would. I am now working on the peahen's head and neck, which I didn't think I was going to get to until next month, so bonus. But yeah, I filled in all of the wing feathers from the peacock between that and the peahen's neck, so now we're working on that. So yeah, I think I have one more session after this, so we will see. We might even have her whole head and neck done by then, because yeah, there's a lot of big blocks here. If you look at the pattern, yeah, it's like 4 or 5 colors for quite a long area, so yeah, should be able to put up a pretty impressive number, I should think. Okay, this is a short piece, so I'm going to park it there to do that one stitch by itself. Oops. Make sure I actually color the correct thing. Yeah, I just packed away a whole bunch of colors from my working tray because I finished up the wing feathers, so I won't be using those for a while. Because yeah, once we get past the peahen, it's back to the peacock's tail feathers, blah, can't talk, which is more greens than the browns. So a whole new set of colors then. Yeah, there's sort of some white on her face, sort of around her eye. I'm going to probably stitch the blue that's around it and then fill in that white bit for the eye, but I don't think I'm going to get there today because I've got, yeah, quite a ways to go downwards with these, with the neck, so. But yeah, it is coming along nicely. And this little yellow piece here is the center that I marked for when I was gridding it. So actually I can just remove that now. But yeah, we reached 50% before we reached that. But yeah, that is where the actual center part is. And yeah. And I said each pass is taking about 4.5 months. So yeah, because each pass is 33,000 stitches, I believe I calculated. So yeah. Yeah, I said I might finish this pass by the end of the year, but we will see. It would be pretty close to do that, so I'm not making it a goal. If I get there, then I get there. That piece is pretty much done. So I'm trying to decide. Probably do about this wide and then continue working over. But like I said, never know. I may change my mind as I go. That does happen. If you've watched me for a while, you'll know that. Yeah. I start with a plan and then I change the plan. Yeah, so my husband's work got all that paperwork snafu stuff all sorted out. Just move things around here. There we go. And so yeah, they were able to finally register his truck. So yeah, he's pretty excited. It's a brand new Toyota Tundra. It's bigger than his old one. It's got a longer box because yeah, he said the problem is he has to carry so much equipment that sometimes he didn't have enough space to fit it easily. So because yeah, I kind of said, oh, bigger? Like it's already huge. Because yeah, when we went to BC to visit his mom, in palliative care. She passed away last November of cancer. But when we went to visit her, and yeah, like here in Alberta, the streets are pretty wide. And in Vancouver, of course, there's a lot less space, so the streets are narrow. And it was like, it was ridiculous. The mirror sometimes was actually touching the bushes on the side of the road because, yeah, that's how narrow the lanes were. So, yeah, that was not fun. My husband's a great driver, so I'm not worried. But, yeah, it still made me very uncomfortable. So, yeah. So this one's longer. It's not any wider, but, yeah, it's got some kind of cool new features. It's got a front spoiler that comes down when you go above 60 kilometers when you're on the highway to make it more aerodynamic, I guess the word would be, yeah. So it's more fuel efficient and, yeah, stuff like that. So, and it's very quiet, which is good because, yeah, he said he test drove a Ford Bronco because they were giving him the choice of, you know, here's the range of what you can pick and then you decide what you want. And he said he tried it, but he found even the hardtop, the non-convertible, was still fairly noisy. And yeah, sometimes he's driving like 8 hours a day. So yeah, you don't want that. It would be really irritating, at least for him. He's very sensitive to sound, as I am too. So yeah. Yeah, he was, and it's another white one. He loves white vehicles. It's funny because I'm the opposite. Mine is black. Although the best one we had was an old truck that was like this kind of grayish brown clay color. And it was perfect because even when it was dirty, you couldn't tell. So, yeah. That was kind of nice. So, but yeah, because he was driving a rental for a while, and he said it was awful. He said the seat was a bucket seat, and it was really uncomfortable. And yeah, he said the whole dash was a touch screen, and yeah, like I'm not a fan of that because I think it's just easier to accidentally slip or whatever and end up doing the wrong thing. And I don't know. I'm a person who actually prefers like physical gauges and buttons and dials myself, so yeah. And he said like it had a supposed smart cruise where like it could tell how far apart you should keep the vehicle from the one in front of you based on how big the vehicle is. But he said it was so inaccurate, like if it was a big rig semi, it would be like 500 feet back, and if it was a smaller vehicle, then it would be like right on its bumper. So yeah, whoever programmed it, it was supposed to be smart, but it wasn't very. So yeah, he said I'm really glad that that's not my permanent vehicle. Oh dear. But yeah, getting cooler here. The neighbor's tree is got about a third of its leaves left. The rest have all fallen down. No frost yet, knock on wood. Yeah, I always say if it holds off till after Halloween, I'm happy. So, but I am excited because figure skating season started up again. So yeah, if you've watched me for a while, you know that's the only sport that gets followed in this house. So yeah. And the next Winter Olympics are a couple years away, so it's, yeah, exciting to see who's coming up through the ranks to be a possible contender. Yeah, the sport has changed so much. I started watching it in like the 90s, and yeah, like I've seen it go through the old 6.0 system to the current system, and yeah, I mean, I remember seeing the rise of the quad jump in men's figure skating. Pardon me. Like now, you need multiple quad jumps to be competitive, but I remember when having one was a big deal, and there was a big debate as to whether it was worth it because for some guys, they were very inconsistent with it, and it ended up costing them more than it gained. And so there was debate of, you know, could you be a world champion, Olympic champion without it? And Jeffrey Buttle did it, Canadian figure skater. He was world champion without a quad. He did like triple combinations, but I think he will be the last one. Yeah, I don't think it's possible anymore. There's too many, yeah, people with multiple quads that are consistent that there's just no way. So, and we're now seeing the quad axle coming out, which is wild because the axle you take off going forward, so it's actually 4.5 revolutions. So yeah, but Yuzuru Hanyu tried it. I don't think he landed it in competition, if I remember correctly, but he was one of the first to try it. But yeah, it's happening now. He's retired from competitive figure skating, so, but I mean, he will go down as one of the greatest. Yeah, he really helped push the sport to where it is today. Okay, I can do one more row. So yeah, like I said, this is going to put up a pretty impressive number. Yeah, I've seen other changes too. They used to only allow lyrics in dance, and now they allow them in all the disciplines. So yeah, that's new. I'm interested to see what other changes will eventually. I remember they changed it for a while that you got bonus points for doing for any jump that was done, at least for single skaters. Any jump that was done past the halfway mark in the long program got an extra 10%. It was to kind of help balance things out because people would always front load their routines when, of course, you know, you're still fresh and full of energy. It's harder to do when you're more tired. But then more and more people were kind of using that, and then things were ended up with the opposite. They were backloaded, and in fact, they changed it after Zagitva. I probably pronounced that wrong, but anyway, she won by doing all of her jumps in the final half. So she filled the beginning with all her step sequences. And oh, hi guys, sorry for the interruption. My kiddo came home unexpectedly. That's one of the problems when he has his own vehicle now. Yeah, forgot something with school. So anyway, I was saying that yeah, one figure skater, she put everything to the back of the program to get the 10% on all of her jumps, which is like 8, I think. It's 7 or 8, something like that. And yeah, so they changed it right after that. So now it's only the last 3 jumps in the last half of the program that get the bonus. So pardon me, still prioritizes people putting their more difficult jumps at the end. But of course, like they said, that doesn't always work out because if you're more tired and less likely to hit it consistently, then you get dinged. So yeah. But yeah, I'll be interested, like I said, to see what other changes come and how it evolves over time. It's always changing. So I have to be careful here that I don't overdo the same color all at once, that I kind of break it up so that I don't hurt myself, because yeah, that can happen if I don't watch it. I have to be more careful with the bigger blocks not to overdo it. Yeah, I will hurt my arms. Yeah, my hands usually are okay. My wrists are okay. It's my forearms that really suffer when I overdo it. So yeah, I find stopping to change colors more often tends to help me avoid doing that. So yeah, all these colors here that are sort of around the eye, I'm going to leave and just do sort of the darker colors. Yeah, I'm probably just going to go out a bit and then start slanting it back over for a while before I fill that in. Because like I said, I don't like to work across too wide an area. It starts to get a little cumbersome. Although I don't have as many live needles because there aren't as many colors, so yeah. Yeah, and I probably won't fill in because her beak kind of goes and then it hooks back, and then of course there's more tail feathers showing, but I probably won't be doing those until next month, until I move the frame over further. So I will just stick to the peahen for now. Yeah, because I've done pretty much everything else that is around it, and then I will fill in more. But yeah, I wasn't sure if I'd reach 51%, but we are well past that now. And I started this month at 150,000, so yeah, I've done over 7,000 stitches this month. I think that's how many I managed last month. Yeah. But I had other stuff going on. I usually manage about 8,000 to 9,000 on this project. But of course, a lot of that depends on if it's heavy confetti or not. Yeah, that's just an average. I like to kind of say 7,000 for sure, unless barring some extreme circumstances. Like a couple months ago, August, I only got about 4,000 because, yeah, like I said, we were doing renovations, and so I did not have as much stitching time. Yeah, instead, I sewed on the gridding for another piece of cloth, so that will be ready to go. So I won't have to grid for a while now because, yeah, I have like the next 3 projects, if you want to count Stained Glass, Zelda, the Ocarina of Time is already gridded that I'm working on that one. I have one for Deer Creek, which is actually the piece of cloth that I started this one on, but I messed it up because I used the wrong color. Yeah, I used the white tin instead of the white because I mixed it up. I said what ticked me off the most about that was that I knew other people were making that mistake, and I still did it. I thought I was being so careful to make sure I didn't make that mistake, and I still did. Like, yeah, after that, I went into all of my Heaven and Earth designs that I had on Pattern Keeper, and I edited the legends so that it says white instead of 1, because, yeah, they use 1 to represent white or blanc, and, yeah. It's just the way their program works, actually writing in letters is harder, although they managed ecru, so honestly, I don't know why they can't manage white, but yeah. And the other one is 032, is actually the Krennic braid or whatever, and not DMC 32, which is like a purplish color. So yeah, because people are looking at it going, but it's like in the middle of a waterfall, it's supposed to be purple? It's like, no, it's supposed to be sparkly white, yeah. But I changed it and I went for the B5200, which is the winter white, which is a little bit more shimmery than the standard white, which is more matte. Yeah, but then I don't have to work with the braided one, because apparently that one can be frustrating to stitch with, according to a lot of people. They say it breaks apart and shreds and stuff more easily, and yeah, I absolutely hate when stuff shreds on me. I have that problem with knitting too. Yeah, I had this really, you know, fat fluffy yarn that I made my son a little sweater suit with for when he was little, and oh my gosh, I was cursing that thing the whole time I was knitting with it because it was so hard to not shred it as you're stitching. Yeah, because it was so fluffy. So yeah, like the overall effect was nice at the end, but working with it was a total nightmare, and I swore never again. Yeah, so I can see sort of some of this color. It does go this way, but I can break it up and kind of keep it slanting that way for now. I don't want to kind of go too far over, so I'm just going to work the neck, and then, yeah, I'll come back and fill that in later. So that's my plan for now. And like I said, I might change it later. Yeah, here's looking at you, kid. Yeah, so I believe I have one more session before the end of the month, so we'll see how far I will get. And then 2 more months before the end of the year. Holy cow. But yeah, the upcoming part I think is a bit more detailed. It's again tail feathers, and then there's some flowers at the end of this pass, which are fairly small, so there's going to be more confetti. The bigger flowers had, yeah, bigger blocks, so they went faster. The smaller flowers have a lot more colors in a smaller area, so it goes a bit slower. Okay. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, I did not sleep very well last night, so I'm afraid if I yawn a lot and I'm a little less talkative, that's why. But yeah, I say that, but then with figure skating starting, I stitch a little less because, yeah, I can't stitch while that while that is on. I have to knit instead. So, but yeah, that will mean I get some work done on the blanket I was making for my father-in-law with my mother-in-law's yarn stash. He gifted it to me, so yeah. Yeah, so I think that is about where I'm going to cut it off. Yeah, so I won't get the whole width of the neck, I don't think, during this session. We're just going to get part of it. And then, yeah, I'll come back up and do more of that dark blue. So, yeah, I might do some of the tail feathers below the beak actually before I move the whole thing over again. Oh, did I just do one the wrong direction? Yeah, I did too. I made a straight up and down line instead of making a cross, instead of making an X shape, which I do not want to do. Silly me. Okay. Okay, how long is this? Somewhat. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to divide this sort of where the solid circle ones intersect with it. I'm going to divide that section of color there and keep everything this way, slanting this way, and then I'm going to later on add to it. Yeah, sometimes when an area is just wider than what I want to work with, then I will just split it down the middle. So I use 2 strands. This is on 14 count. So as you can see, there is a little bit of white showing around here, but I don't mind that, honestly. And also, when you look at the whole thing, it's going to be from further back. Yeah. I'm not someone who minds a little bit of white showing. Some people prefer to stitch it really thick, but again, that's just personal preference. Either way works, you know, as long as you're the one who's happy with how it looks in the end. Because, yeah, it's your project, so. And I personally don't like working with too many strands. I find it gets harder to push the needle through. My fingers get sore, and I just, yeah. I stop enjoying stitching anymore, and so. And also, if you use more than 2 strands, you're more likely to need to use a laying tool to keep things from crossing each other and twisting to get it to lie flat. So there's that as well. And I tried doing that and I railroaded for a while, but I found that honestly I I fell out of the habit and found my work kind of didn't look that much less neat. So yeah, but again, that's totally a matter of preference. Some people find it worth it, and nothing wrong with that. But yeah, like someone was pointing out, each square, you know, it's a square shape and you're making an X across the square shape. So kind of by, you know, the very shape, the way those two interact, you're going to have some fabric that's not completely covered. It's kind of just the nature of it, so. Yeah, and some people said like they've tried stitching it with more strands and it's okay when it's big blocks of color, but when you get into high confetti areas, it can be much harder. Yeah, it gets much tighter and harder to get the needle through, so. Because I know Heaven and Earth Designs, they recommend 25 count and 2 strands, and yeah, I use 2 strands on 18 count, and I find that is tight enough for me. I can't imagine doing it on 25 count, I think. My fingers would get very sore. Okay, so just marking what I'm doing here. Yeah, so you can see we've blown past 100 stitches there. No problem. Yeah, because of course these big blocks, they go really quick. So yeah, I could sort of do a whole bunch of one and then the next straight, but again, that would cause me to work so long without breaks. I would be more likely to get sore arms. So that is why I'm sort of doing this more one couple of rows at a time, 1 or 2 rows at a time. That way I have the built-in pauses. Yeah, it's funny, it's not very long in pauses, but I find it does make a difference, because like I've done where I've stitched 500 stitches of higher confetti, no soreness. Then I stitched 500 stitches of all one color, and oh man, my arms were on fire the next day. So yeah. Yes, I'm gonna, like I said, not gonna go all the way into the bill yet. I'll do her beak later. Also means I'd be reaching so far with my upper arm, and I don't like doing that. So. Okay, so all the way to that left-hand side. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I was trying to see if I had any medium-sized leftover pieces, but I don't. Leftover pieces are all super short, so I guess we're just starting another full-length piece. There. The ends from the back wanted to come back to the front. Don't want that. So yesterday I was working in stripes that kind of went that way because of the shape of the wing. Now we're working in stripes that go more this way, yeah, because of the shape of the neck. So yeah, the needles get magnetized after a while because I use magnets to control them. So yeah, eventually they get magnetized and stick to each other sometimes. Actually, I've kind of used that. I had one time, needle came off and rolled into my grime guard, and I used another needle to kind of grab it. I could have used a magnet, but the needle was in my hand already, so it worked. So yeah, taking a look at the shape of this this circle color here, the 820. So what I could do is try to fill in all of this and then do a whole bunch coming down and back up. But what I'm probably going to do is divide it into different threads. There's so much of this color that I would use up multiple threads anyway. And like I said, I'm trying to make myself take breaks by switching colors so that I don't cause myself pain. So yeah, because yeah, I'll get in the zone and keep stitching away, and then I will pay for it later. I don't want to be doing that. Plus, like, this thread I'm currently using is over half gone, so I would have to add another thread anyway. So yeah. Yeah, so when it kind of branches off, I call it, then I often use separate threads for each sort of little branch as it comes. And as you can see, where this color is going to intersect with this color creates different branches in both colors, so I will be using different threads. So yeah, fewer colors, but sometimes not fewer threads, because I end up with multiples of the same color where it makes sense to me to do that. So yeah, I'm just going to hug that edge for that one stitch, sort of past it, and then I'm going to start a new thread, divide that up. Of course, this might even run out too before I get back to where I began. Ah yes, you can see on the pattern that center stitch was right there. I have it marked, so. Yeah, in Pattern Keeper, you have the option to turn that on or off. I kind of like having the arrows that, so I know when I've sort of reached the halfway point. And you can see ones on the left-hand side there showing that, yeah, I reached the halfway right about there, so. Oh my goodness, pardon me. Yeah, there is not much left of this thread. Oops. Yeah, almost colored in an extra one with my thumb, which I don't want to do. Yeah, so who knows, maybe even reaching 52% might be possible. Which would be nice because, yeah, I started at just under 49%, so. Yeah, if I can do 3% per month, I'll be done in less than another year and a half, so we will see what happens. As I often say, it's not a race. Although, yeah, I wouldn't mind if I could stitch like the Flash. Imagine how many projects I could get done then. Okay, so this thread is still pretty long, so I'm just going to be using it and working from the left side out instead of the right side in. Yeah, I'm not picky, either way works. So did this one, didn't do those. Okay, just making sure I didn't pierce the fabric in the wrong spot, because that would suck. sometimes on these bigger areas I end up with 2 threads, sort of one on either side of the block, and they can sometimes work towards each other and meet in the middle. That is sometimes how I do it. Okay, so time to add another one of this color. Yeah, I'll probably have a couple, in fact, because it's branching off quite a lot, this area. Look at that, we're past 200 stitches already. Now, like I said, it's an area with much less confetti, so it zips by. Yeah, the bigger challenge is to make sure I don't overdo it. Okay, so all the way up here. Oop, that won't work. Yeah, you can only highlight to stitch or to frog. You can't do both. So if you start off with highlighting a stitch that's already stitched, yeah, it will set it up for you to frog it, not stitch it. Okay, so sometimes I think what I'm going to do is I'll work from the center out one way and the other way with the same thread. Sometimes that works too. Yeah, I won't get much more out of this, but I can get a couple of stitches, so might as well. I don't like wasting. So yeah, now work from this side over. Oh. Hi guys, I went to finish this session and then realized I forgot to turn my screen capture back on, so I talked a whole bunch and I stitched a whole bunch and I didn't have the screen capture, so I'll stitch a little more with you guys. Not much more because my arms do need a break, so unfortunately, yeah, that's what I get with my guys interrupting me. Well, what are you gonna do, right? It's their house too. But yeah, that's why I try to generally film when they are not home, because yeah, try to avoid the interruptions, because they don't want to appear on my channel, which is totally fine. I get that. So yeah, I was planning to make a nice long session for you all. Ended up getting broken up, and I don't think I'll be stitching as much because yeah, my arms are just ready for a break with doing all this big block here. I have to be really careful not to overdo it. So yeah, sorry that it ended up being a shorter session today, but I made a mistake. Some of my footage was not usable, so although I think I still got about a good 45 minutes of usable footage for you all. So yeah, I normally try to go over an hour because I know a lot of people have said they enjoy the longer sessions, so I do try to make those when time permits. But yeah, things just got mixed up today because I kept getting interrupted. So anyway, I hope to see you guys here next time. All right. Thanks, everyone.